I would like to call the Fairfield County Council regular meeting to order, Monday, February 8th, 2021, 6 p.m. Can we get approval of the agenda?
Mr. Chairman, I have a motion.
Mr. Chairman, can we get approval of the agenda?
I want to make a motion for the agenda. Mr. Chairman,
You're not recognized. Let's get approval of the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I think it is important that we conduct the business of the county in accordance with the law. And considering that none of us are attorneys, and the fact that we do not have the
Mr.
county
Pauly.
attorney present
Pauly,
tonight due to the
Mr. Pauly.
words and actions of
Mr.
certain
Pauly.
council members,
Mr. Pauly,
now adjourn the meeting. I remind
Jeff.
council
Jeff
that
Montgomery.
motions to adjourn upon receiving a second, according to our bylaws, are not debatable and must go immediately to a vote.
Second.
okay. It's been moved and second. Are you ready to vote?
Yep.
What are we voting on again, Mr. Paul?
Adjourning the meeting.
Okay. All in favor, let it be known by the word aye. Opposers?
Nay.
Hey,
Nay. Okay. That's the first time that ever happened.
yes. Motion to approve the agenda as stated, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
It's been moved and second that we approve the agenda as it is. Are you ready to vote?
Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
I'd like to amend the amendment to for the agenda, if I can get a second.
Second.
I'd like to make a amendment that we add an executive session for tonight. I think we need to discuss an employee contractual matter.
Okay, it has been amended, made a motion to amend the agenda to add executive session. Are you ready to vote on the amendment? On the amendment? All in favor, let it be known by the word aye. Opposers?
Nay.
Nay. Okay, so it's 3-4. So let's return to the approval of the agenda.
You have a motion. and a
Yeah,
second.
the motion is already on the floor. The amended motion did not pass. Okay, so now, are you ready to vote on the agenda as stated? All in favor, let it be known by the word aye.
Aye.
Okay, opposers?
Nay.
Hey,
It's 4-3. Okay, now we have invocation by Mr. Trapp.
Let us pray. God, thank you for allowing us to gather here again once today. Please let every vote made in this chamber tonight be in for the betterment of Fairfield County. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Okay, can we get approval of the minutes?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved in second, for approval of the minutes and discussion. We're not ready, all in favor, let it be known by the word aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Minutes stand approved. Okay, but now we're down to number 5, public presentation, proclamation declaring February as Black History Month. We'll have our secretary, the clerk of the council to read just the first two, paragraphs.
Verse 2.
Yes, ma'am.
Proclaiming February as Black History Month. Whereas we are given an opportunity each February to honor the struggles and triumphs of people from the African heritage, knowing that the purpose of Black History Month is to make all Americans aware of the struggle for freedom and equal opportunity. It is also a time to celebrate the many achievements of Blacks in every field, and Fairfield County desires to celebrate these many achievements and contributions made by African Americans toward the furtherance of our cultural, spiritual, and economic development. And whereas February was chosen to celebrate Black History Month, which coincides with the birthdays of Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass. In 1976, President Gerald Ford officially recognized Black History Month, calling upon the public to seize the opportunity to honor the too often neglected accomplishments of Black Americans in every area of endeavor throughout our history. Since 1976, every American president has designated February as Black History Month with a specified theme for each year. The theme for 2021 is the Black family, representation, identity, and diversity. This allows Black History Month to return to its roots with a new focus on Black family ties, realizing that through the years, pressure has been put on maintaining family ties when a better life oftentimes meant traveling far from home.
Thank you. So we proclaim February as Black History Month for the county of Fairfield, state of South Carolina. We down to public hearing. An ordinance to amend the budget ordinance for fiscal year beginning July 1, 2020 and ending June 30th, 2021. And authorizing the supplemental appropriation of funds for increased fire service. It is now 6:06. So we go into the public hearing. Ms. Davis, did anybody sign up?
No one requested to speak.
Okay, so the time we're coming out of public hearing is 6:06. Thank you. Number 7. Second reading ordinance number 763, ordinance to amend the Fairfield County Land Management Ordinance number 599 to provide for the zoning reclassification from R1 single family district residential district to R2 inclusive residential district of 1.16 acres owned by Russell and Marion McDonald. This is the tax map number 134-04-02-019-000. Property is located at 1616 Antioch Cemetery Road, Ridgeway, South Carolina, 29130. Can we get a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
It's been moved in second that we accept the second reading. Mr. Taylor, any discussion around this?
We do have Mr. Chris Clausen here who can discuss the details on this, but if I'm not mistaken, this has been properly noticed, posted, and it has gone before the Planning Commission and was recommended for approval. Is that correct, Mr. Clausen?
Yes, sir. Sir. So, thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of council. Again, this request is being made by Mr. and Mrs. McDonald. This was seen by the Planning Commission, or heard rather by the Planning Commission last week. They did approve unanimously. There was 6-0. There's one member that had to get off for the school board. So we do have one vacancy on the Planning Commission. But again, this was 1.16 acres. It was zoned R1, which would not allow for mobile homes. It is near the lake, but is not on the lake. And the land management ordinance would allow for this rezoning to an R2, which would allow for that mobile home that he would like to place there. There were no public comments in the hearing that the Planning Commission had, and it has been posted. We're going to have the public hearing, though, on the 22nd of this month. So, are there any questions?
Any questions from anyone? If not, are you ready to vote? All in favor? Let it be known by aye.
Aye.
Opposers? No opposers. Stand approved. B, third and final reading, ordinance number 761, an ordinance to amend the budget ordinance for fiscal year beginning July 1, 2020 and ending June 30th, 2021, and authorizing the supplemental appropriation of funds for increased fire service.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and second. Ready to vote? All in favor, let it be known by aye.
Aye.
Any opposers? No opposers? Approved. Emergency ordinance number 764, and an emergency ordinance to declare a local state of emergency of Fairfield County and providing for conducting electronic meetings for Fairfield County Council and all Fairfield County boards and commissions.
Chair. Mr. Chair and
Yes.
fellow members of council, I understand the environment we are in with respect of the COVID pandemic, but I've received more concerns citizen phone calls and complaints during the past 3 weeks than
Okay.
I have during my full tenure on count.
Mr. Gilbert,
So I think that we need to
Gilbert.
find a safe way for citizens to attend these meetings and share these concerns with
Mr.
the
Gilbert.
full council in person. This considered, I move that we table this motion to approve and to further consideration of these items indefinitely and have staff determine a safe way for citizens to attend and provide public comments at our meetings.
I second that.
Okay,
Discussion, Mr. Chairman.
okay.
I don't see how that can be possible because we have council members sitting up here now without masks on their face. Instead of talking, spreading germs throughout the building.
Am I 6 feet away from you?
It don't make any
Yeah, I'm
difference.
6 feet.
You still in the building.
Mr. Taylor, do you think that you and Ms. Davis could provide a
beside the
safe
point.
environment?
Mr. Pauley?
Y'all provide a safe environment for the citizens?
We would have to look at that and see how we might could accomplish that. Obviously, we may have to do it through electronic means initially, I would think. But we've looked at that, knowing that at some point in the future, this would happen, but I don't have a plan for that right this moment.
So what is the protocol for employees in the building? Do they have to have masks on? Unless if they out around other people?
We highly, highly encourage that. Again, we had advice previously that we could not require that, but we do. We've looked at to the point because we do think it's important that we have masks on. That with some of our employees, given the situation, they may be in close quarters.
Right.
That even though we may not be able to require it, we could take some kind of action in their personnel record to say that, you were not considerate of others, something like that to note it.
But if you did a safe study of allowing the public to come in and make comment, then the employees would be,
I think we could
they would
find a way
have
to
to follow the rules also. Am I correct?
Way to accomplish it. I think we'd have to look and see what other counties are doing to see what's working for them. Sometimes that's the best way to do it, is look at other counties. If they're doing something that's working, copy that.
Mr. Taylor, one of the things, Mr. Gilbert asked to table it. And one of the questions I asked you, did you know parliamentary procedure? And you say you did. Now, once he asked to table, is there any discussion?
Again, I do hate, again, being a parliamentarian is something I have done in the past, but it has been some time since I have looked at it in great detail. So I hate to be the final authority on that.
Okay, but what I will allow, though, I will allow the continued discussion. But what I'm saying is he did ask to table it, so we just go ahead.
Yeah. If I may make a comment, I think that we've heard a lot from our healthcare professionals in the country, knowing the fact that COVID-19 looks as if it's subsiding a little bit, but we have more virulent forms of COVID-19. I would not want to put people at risk any more than they are. We've had members of council here to have COVID-19. And if I listen to what they've told me, they don't wish that on anyone else. And I think that we want to be safe, having an environment where people can come in, not knowing the families and all kinds of other people that they've been in contact with. I think we really accept a large risk. I do think, however, that Zoom meetings or whatever else way that the public can comment certainly should be tried, because I think that it's very important that the public have a voice. So I think that Zoom meeting and looking into some of those kinds of things where, they can make a comment, public can make a comment, would be something that maybe would be explored a lot more safely.
Mr. Chair, just one quick thing. I do notice that the city is doing that at the Old Armory, and they are able to space out citizens. Maybe we can think of either the Old Armory or the Recreation Center.
That's
That, and also, Mr. Chair, everything is discussionable except adjournment, just to let you know.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman, I have to agree with Ms. Green. I think we need to follow the route we've been following until things lighten up some. Like I said, if we to the point that we as elected officials can't conduct ourselves in a safe manner, who are we to tell citizens to come in here not wearing a mask or coming up to the microphone speaking? So I think we should follow the route we've been following.
Okay, so,
But if it's done
that was-
electronically, then we are following.
okay, that,
Hold on, he had a comment.
go ahead, Ms. Gilbert.
I say if it's done electronically, it shouldn't be a problem.
I didn't hear you say it again.
I said if we done it by Zoom, electronic,
Oh, yeah,
virtual, then it wouldn't be a problem. It shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, the Zoom thing should work out.
Okay, so, Mr. Gilbert had a motion on the floor. It was second, I think, by Mr. Pauly. Okay, all in favor, let it be known by aye.
Aye.
Opposers?
Nay,
Nay. So it's 4-3. Can we get this emergency ordinance? And just for my information, this is, what number this is? I mean, how
76.
many times we've done this emergency ordinance? think
5 or 6.
Five,
I think it's 5 or 6.
5 or 6?
I think
It's
so. It's 60 days per
60
time.
days.
Oh, okay. So can we get a motion to approve?
so move, Mr. Chairman.
It's been moved and second that we approve emergency ordinance number 764, emergency ordinance to declare a local state of emergency in Fairfield County and providing for conducting electronic meeting for Fairfield County Council and all Fairfield County boards and commissions. Okay, okay, any discussion? All in favor, let it be known by word aye. Opposers?
Nay.
Nay.
4-3 passes. All right, boards and commission minutes, disabilities and special need boards. Chamber of Commerce, let's receive that as information. Old business none, new business none. County administration report.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. We've got a few items tonight. The first item that we have up, them first because we've got them waiting in essentially an electronic Zoom type platform to give a presentation. This is an opportunity that came to us through the Economic Development Office, and I think they're also working with the school district. It's a program that would allow us to do some workforce development that would train our citizens to be able to move into higher paying jobs. They want to assess some of our citizens to see if they have an aptitude for computer programming. Sam, I'll let you take it from there. You've been working with them closer than I to introduce the organization.
Yeah. Mr. Chairman, members of council, on the phone, on the screen, we've got Beth Ruffin, Stan Gray, who are both with Create Opportunity, and Ben Rex as well, who's the director of the group. They're going to give a short presentation on this and then answer any questions you guys have about the program.
And I will add, this is for information tonight. We're not requesting a vote from council, but if we get positive feedback from council, we can collect additional information and bring it back to you all and possibly take a vote on funding some of their requests.
Good evening. Want to confirm that everyone can hear me clearly?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Wonderful. And can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Wonderful. Well, really appreciate all of you hosting us. My name is Ben Rex. I've been a resident of the Midlands for more than 20 years and really appreciate this opportunity to consider partnership with the county and the school district to advance opportunity for the residents of Fairfield County. Quick overview of myself. I grew up in Greenville, landed at the University of South Carolina 22 years ago, and halfway through undergraduate started a software company. Over the course of the last 20 years, we have been fortunate to grow Cyberwoven into one of the larger companies of its breed in the southeastern United States. And one of the challenges we face as a company is finding talented, trained software engineers in our region. And we've been working on this issue for 8 or 10 years. And it's not because ultimately the talent isn't here. It's because we as a region haven't figured out how to activate our talent, how to identify, train, and pull our talent through. So ultimately, what we are here to talk with you about this evening is the fact that talent is equally distributed, but opportunity is not. And we want to work to bring this career progression to Fairfield County over the course of 2021 in ways that create this career opportunity. Well, what is this career opportunity? Well, our goal is to dramatically increase the supply of high demand software engineers in the Midlands of South Carolina over the coming couple of years. To do that, we have brought together a company, Catalyte, who has pioneered a screening and training model that ultimately has created software engineer populations at scale in markets like Baltimore, Denver, Chicago, Portland. And we have partnered them with Midlands Technical College. And Midlands Technical College takes a screened participant through a 6-month intensive training program that readies them for a state registered apprenticeship that is a 2-year salaried with benefits position with a major employer that prepares these folks to be in long-term, constructive, local employ for the long haul. And the reason we're super excited about this is there's literally no technical background required. And over the course of 18 years, our partner has shown that there is no difference in performance based on gender, race, geography, or socioeconomics. The only application criteria to begin the screening is that you have either a GED or a high school diploma, and from there you can move forward. So I'll very quickly go through the model, which is you take a 90-minute web-based screening. We'll share the address for that with you here shortly. And upon completing that screening, you are, and passing said screening, you're offered a 6-month intensive training that's full-time, 9 to 5, 5 days a week at Midlands Technical College at no cost to you as the trainee. Once again, we're working hard to eliminate barriers to this career. You're then paired with a major employer like Colonial Life or Diesel Laptops for a 2-year salaried apprenticeship. And the outcome is that over the course of the last 18 years, inflation adjusted, the average participant before training was making $12 an hour with no benefits. And the average graduate at the 5-year point is making more than $80,000 per annum with health and retirement benefits. So ultimately, we have achieved that outcome with more than 1,000 trained software engineers. And that's what created my excitement around bringing this model to the Midlands of South Carolina. Why software engineering? Well, we just talked about the fiscal reasons that it's a wonderful career. It is also the second highest rated career in U.S. News and World Reports, both in terms of demand from individuals and demand from employers. We have a deficit of about 300 software engineers in the Midlands region at present. And it is a great career pathway. And we have documented success with bringing folks through software engineering careers into management and corporate leadership roles. And we want to bring that success to the Midlands of South Carolina. In Fairfield County, we look to train folks here in the Midlands to support existing and attract new businesses to the region from an economic and community development perspective, and to build the income base so that the tax base in Fairfield County strengthens. Tied to that, we want to build opportunity at an individual level, providing a career ladder for folks for whom this has historically not been practical or possible. So long and short, we like to be very clear and clean about what we're asking for in partnership. We're looking for your help in encouraging Fairfield County residents to take this screening. We are beginning the first full-scale cohort at Midlands Technical College on February the 22nd. The second cohort will be in early May, and every 10 weeks, we will train between 15 and 20 new software engineers in this program, and we would like for a representative number of those to come from Fairfield County. This initiative serves Richland, Lexington, and Fairfield counties, and we're very committed to having a strong population from Fairfield enjoy this career growth. From there, we would like your help in identifying employers in Fairfield County that would benefit from employing strong software engineers that are homegrown here in the Midlands region. And then finally, we would like to ask your financial support, providing a grant to the program in the amount of $10,000, and to support future residents of Fairfield County who participate in the program and move forward on this career ladder. I would also like to take a moment to introduce my partners in this effort, Beth Ruffin and Stan Gray. Beth, if you would like to lead off with a quick overview of your background and what your role is in engaging the Midlands, I would appreciate it.
Sure. Hello, everyone. Good evening. I'm Beth Ruffin. And prior to coming onto this team, I've been doing diversity, equity, and inclusion work, most recently by building that program for Colonial Life and its global partner, Unum. And I'm happy to be a part of this team and looking at the participant journey and community partnerships.
And Stan.
Hi, everyone. I'm Stan Gray. Thank you for having me this evening. I am a University of South Carolina graduate. For the last 10 years, I've worked in higher education and technology, connecting leading global brands, Fortune 500 companies to small businesses and scalable startups. I'm really excited about the potential to collaborate with Fairfield County and help your citizens find those career opportunities with high wages, good benefits, and a bright future. Thank you for welcoming Create Opportunity. I'm working directly with the employers and the funders. If you are aware of employers that would like to engage in the program, as Ben mentioned, I'm here and available to talk to them anytime. So thank you.
And from there, we're very appreciative of your time. We're appreciative of all of your service to Fairfield County and the Midlands of South Carolina during an unprecedented year, and look forward to any questions, comments that you have, and talking through the opportunity to strengthen the county in partnership with Create Opportunity.
Mr.
Thank you
Robinson.
so much.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Rex, just curious, do you guys require any win scores?
We do not.
Okay.
Is there an age limit?
There is not. We train any person who is, there's an age minimum of 18. The oldest participant that I'm aware that has begun the program is 71 years old. And he achieved great success in our Baltimore center.
Any other questions? Mr. Taylor, you want to talk about the $10,000 grant sum? When it says provide initial grant of $10,000?
That's what they would be requesting from us, is $10,000. This is one of those things, and Sam or Ty, again, you've talked to them in more detail about the financing, and they may want to jump in on that also. But this is one of those things, again, that came to our attention. We're always looking for things that give us an edge when it comes to economic development, and workforce development is something we need to do. Whether it's the Promise program, we think that gives us an edge, and this program could also, when we're out trying to market ourselves to industry. Do you all want to add to that, Ty?
Yeah, I can. This program's obviously a great thing. Ben's started off with this group, I think it was 20 years ago, right, Ben?
Correct.
And it's been deployed in 5 different cities and had extreme success. From a recruitment standpoint and economic development, this will be very attractive to incoming technology users.
And again, it would be a $10,000 initial request that they would have. Is there also a funding per person?
We would really appreciate your consideration in funding support for each Fairfield County resident that comes through the program. And there are other groups supporting us anywhere from $3,000 to $6,000 per student. And if that is practical within the constraints of the county budget to support a handful of residents, that would be stunningly helpful and supportive.
Question.
What he anticipates a yearly cohort out of Fairfield County would be, what would be a good number?
Ben, I don't know if you heard that, but what would be a good number of cohort, participants in the program per year? I think when I was reading through it, it was around 16 to 22, I believe, was the numbers that were at least provided.
Yeah, we would love to see a minimum of half a dozen of those folks come from Fairfield County, and ideally a few more than that. But we're going to be training 80 people per year, and want a representative set of those folks to come from Fairfield. So that would be 10 or 12 folks per annum.
Okay, do you want to talk about the salary of these people once they get the training?
Absolutely. The average person coming in is typically in a service job, whether that's fast food, whether that's serving as a hotel maid. And from there, they typically are coming in at $10 or $12 an hour. When they finish the training program, they begin their employment with a salary of $40,000 plus benefits with a major employer. And their salary ladders up over the coming years. And the employer commits to, in year 3, having them at a market salary for a mid-level software engineer. And that translates in our market to somewhere between $70,000 and $80,000. And in markets like Baltimore, Boston, and Denver, we have seen those salaries approach $100,000 at that point.
Okay, Ms. Pauley.
How long would the training last?
The training lasts for 6 months. It is a full-time 40-hour-a-week commitment. And the apprenticeship that follows is a 2-year salaried commitment.
What would the payment be from the county? Would it be once they complete the training or before they start the training?
It would be to support the cost of training for Fairfield County residents. So it would be before the training.
Right. I'm just kind of concerned, like if somebody came 2 months and decided not to come back, pretty much Fairfield County's lost their money.
I think that's something we can definitely talk through in terms of how the payment flow works and when the funds are committed. That's a very reasonable request.
For those,
Go ahead.
for those students who might come through as high school graduates with either high school diploma or a GED, and they may already be eligible for the Promise program here in Fairfield County that we have with Midlands Tech, how would you handle that?
I would need to defer to Dr. Rames and to staff at the county on that front. I do not believe this program aligns specifically with the Fairfield Promise, but it's a great conversation to have. We're also very excited about the conversations we've had with Dr. Green and Dr. Swilley at Fairfield County Schools, and the excitement at Midlands Technical College about getting greater engagement of both Fairfield Promise and this program is very high. So excited to keep the ball moving.
Mr. Robinson?
My only concern is the program sounds great, but are we duplicating services is my question. Because I know Midlands.
That's with the Promise program?
No, not necessarily the Promise program. I think Midlands Tech has scholarships for quick jobs, and I think WIOE has federal grants for free training. So I'm curious, are we duplicating it?
We did have that question initially when we started talking, because my thoughts were when I first heard about this, I really think it should go through the school system or one of these other existing programs. And that may be what happens in the end. We even thought about, as Ms. Green said, looking at the Promise program, see how we could pair it with that possibly, to see if there was monies left over that weren't being used that could then be put toward this. So we do have a lot of things like that we need to look at and work out the details. And initially, again, we're not asking you all to vote on anything. We wanted to bring this to you all, see if there was interest from council in us pursuing this, because if council wasn't interested, we didn't want to spend staff's time or their time pursuing it and developing it to the point where we could actually bring it to you all for a full proposal and a vote. So we just want to gauge council, let you all ask questions to them to see if this is something we should pursue.
I appreciate the question, and we did not want to duplicate anything or tap the same funding source twice. We are a WIOA approved and WIOA eligible program, so this is not duplicative in that regard. And given the length and the depth of the training, it is a longer program than Quick Jobs, so it is not a Quick Jobs eligible program.
Okay.
And I guess, Mr. Taylor, I think it needs this kind of look through it and see what we can do and see what we can do. I think it's worth looking into. Okay, thank you. Thank you for your time and thank you for the presentation. Really appreciate it very much. And thank you for coming, especially on such a short notice too. Thanks.
Oh, thank you all for giving us some time, and we appreciate your service. Have a wonderful night, and here's to a great 21.
Thank you again. Next up, we have Mr. Josh Rhodes. He's with the South Carolina Association of Counties, and he will be here tonight to give a presentation on the council administrative form of government and answer any questions that council may have of him.
Yes, sir. And can everybody hear me through the mask okay?
Yes.
Again, my name is Josh Rhodes. I'm Deputy Executive Director and General Counsel of the South Carolina Association of Counties. It's my pleasure to present to the council tonight. Certainly not my first time at Fairfield. It's been a few years, but I used to come up here during the don't dump flow control debate that was going on just a few years ago. Tonight, though, my purposes of being here are a little different. I was asked to go through kind of county administrator form of government. Also, I'm going to spend a little time before that just going through some general powers and roles of county government, then go through county administrative government, touch on one more topic, and then I'd be happy to stay as long as y'all want to answer any questions any member of the council may have. I'm originally from Rock Hill, South Carolina, just north of 77. I now live in Columbia, South Carolina, just south of 77. So you'll make it really easy on me to get here. The county forms of government are set out in Title 4, Chapter 9, 4, 9, 10, after the passage of the Home Rule Act in 1975, set out all the forms, different forms of county government specific to those counties. Many of those forms have changed over those last 45 years. Fairfield is one that hasn't. Y'all have been in the council administrator form of government since the inception of the Home Rule Act. So y'all stuck with the most popular one, and it is the most popular one. I think about probably about 36 to 38 of the 46 counties operate under the council administrative form of government. So it is one of the more popular ones. 4-9-25 sets out the general powers, what we call the police powers, and that's kind of just the catch-all. That's the county council has any authority that it's not restricted from doing by the state law or constitution for the health, safety, or general welfare of the county. So things like you just did with the emergency ordinance for the virtual meetings, that's covered by some different sections, but that was originally contemplated by that section. That was just your catch-all. Hey, if the state says you can't do it, you can do it for the health, safety, and general welfare of the county. 4930 is your specific powers. It lists about 17 different powers going from purchasing real property, assessing property taxes, developing boards and commissions that I saw were on your agenda, developing land use plans, which y'all addressed with the zoning change, the things like that y'all obviously know know a lot about already because you're doing those. Sections 49-40 and 41 have to do with working with the city to provide joint services. Obviously, I don't know a lot about what was just talked about a bit ago, but if you wanted to contract with the city or join in with the city or cities or any other political subdivisions to jointly provide certain type of services, that section is what gives you the authority to do that, and the Constitution itself. 4-9-110 is what provides that the council shall select the chair, a vice chair, and the clerk of court. In general, and I'm going to get to all this in a little bit, but in general, in the council administrative form of government, 2 employees work directly for the county council, and that's the county administrator and the clerk of court. And I'm going to add to that a little bit, but just pursuant to the statute, that is what it provides. And I do want to be clear, your rules may change things. You may have other things locally that you have. I'm here to speak strictly on what the state law provides because that's kind of where we're the experts on. That's your general council powers. Starting with 4-9-610 is where you get into the council administrator form, which kind of sets out what council does in the administrator form, what the administrator does in the administrator form. 4-9-620 provides that the excuse me, that the council shall employ an administrator. The term of that employment and the salary of that employment are to be determined by council as a whole, which means a majority. Council can also determine a definite term. Usually if they want to do that, that's done by contract and entering into a contract with the county administrator. The section also provides how if a county decided they wanted to change from one administrator to another, it provides that process, which if y'all would like me to, is kind of convoluted. I can get into it if y'all want me to, but that section does that as well. 4-9-630 sets out the powers of the administrator. And the way I look at it, the council administrator form of government is kind of like a private corporation. The county council is the board of directors, the county administrator is the CEO. That meaning y'all are in charge. The council, when I say y'all, is in charge of, y'all are the legislative body. Y'all come up with the policies of the county, the ordinances of the county, the things, kind of the big picture things you want to see the county do. And that's really the role of any council, right? Is to guide the county and move the county as you see fit according to kind of your long-term plan. The county administrator, again, is like the chief executive. He is the quote unquote executive branch. He's supposed to carry out the daily things that need to be done to carry out the policies as established by county council. Those include, but are not always limited to, serving as the chief administrative officer, execute the policy directives and legislative actions of the council, direct and coordinate operational agencies, prepare annual budgets, supervise expenditure of the appropriated funds, prepare monthly reports for the council, be responsible for the administration of county personnel policies, including salary and classification plans, and be responsible for employment and discharge of personnel subject to the provisions of 4-9-30. And that's a big one. That, the administrator works for y'all, everybody else works for the county administrator. And that's what really makes it hum and what really makes it work. And that's this last section, 4-9-660, except for the purposes of inquiries and investigations, the council shall deal with county officers and employees who are subject to the direction and supervision of the county administrator, meaning non-elected official employees, solely through the administrator. Neither the council nor its members shall give orders or instructions to any such officers or employees. Meaning, if it's not the administrator, if it's not the clerk of council, in general, and I'm speaking in general statutory terms, the council should not be intervening in that. The administrator works for you. Y'all should be going through the administrator. That's all the state statute stuff.
May I ask a question?
Yes,
too?
sir.
Go ahead, Mr. Paula first.
Oh, you go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Can you explain, are you finished?
Well, I had one more thing, but
Go ahead.
I was just going to mention about the county attorney. I heard earlier y'all are operating without one. pursuant to do you want me to get to this later and take questions?
Yeah, let me ask this question. So if council wants something done, they're to communicate that to the administrator.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And they can just about ask him to do anything.
They can certainly communicate anything to them. Now, the administrator works for the council as a whole.
Right.
So,
Okay.
but yes,
Okay. And what you're saying is that you must go through the administrator. And I think you give me an example. There's an example around, I guess, the economic development person, something. You want to share that example?
several examples. There was a county a few years ago. They were not happy with a certain department head, and you just mentioned the direct one. I was going to be a little more vague.
Okay.
But they were not happy with the department head. They went to the administrator and said, "We really want a new department head in that area." The administrator pushed back a little bit. They basically said, if you don't do it, we're going to go a different way with the administrator and have that person get the person we want in that department. The administrator relented and did what they had asked him to do with that department head. That administrator is still with that county today. That was several years ago. Another example is the opposite way. There was a new administrator in a county in the Low Country. They came in and started getting rid of some of the department heads that the county council didn't want them getting rid of. They said, "Stop. We like these people. They're very happy. They're very good with the county. We don't want you doing that." The administrator said, "Hey, it's my prerogative. I'm going to put in my people. I don't care who you like here." And then that administrator is no longer employed with that county. So it does go both ways.
Mr. Paul, go ahead.
Okay, referencing economic development director or whatever. So we can tell the county administrator, maybe we don't feel comfortable with him, but we cannot instruct the county administrator to fire him, correct?
Pursuant to state law, which is what I'm talking about, I think that you probably could. Yeah, I think you could tell the. I don't know.
If you're not supposed to get involved in day-to-day operations, and he's a county employee up under Mr. Taylor, I can see you saying, maybe we don't have faith in him, but as far as saying you need to fire that person, I understand we have the authority to fire Mr. Taylor, but we don't have the authority to fire anyone else, a county employee, and getting involved in day-to-day operations.
That is correct. So the way I look at that is you can't go to that county employee and say you're fired. You can't. I think it's completely inappropriate to go to that county employee and saying, "Hey, if I get three, however many more votes of council, you're gone." Yeah, I think any interaction with that county employee is problematic. Pursuant to the state law, and I want to be very clear about that. That's what I'm talking about. I don't see any prohibition in the state law for you to do anything through the county administrator. That is the setup. If you go to the county administrator and say, "Hey, we're not happy with this person," and y'all can debate whether you think this is right or wrong, but I'm talking about legally. "Hey, we don't like this person. It's either you or him." I think that's allowed by state law.
Right.
But I want to be clear, it is absolutely inappropriate and disallowed by state law to interact with that employee directly, threaten that employee directly, do anything with that employee directly. And we have some counties that don't even allow the county council members to speak to the county employees other than the administrator. And that's to protect some of the stuff of what you're talking about.
Well, let me ask you another question.
Yes, sir.
Does the chairman have the authority to tell the county administrator when it comes to a county employee on who to hire based on gender, race, or any other qualification?
I don't think it's prevented by state law, no.
Okay.
Now, again, the administrator works for the council, not any individual. I think any individual member can talk to the administrator about anything they want. But the administrator works for the whole council. So I don't think one member can come down and say, "You're going to be fired." But if there's a majority of members that would vote with that one member, then maybe they could. But I think, in my opinion, we're getting into the more of a right versus wrong debate than what's provided for in statute. And I just want to be clear. I'm here talking about what's in statute, and which your example, in my mind, going through the administrator is not prevented by statute.
So a decision to get rid of a county employee, if we go to the administrator, shouldn't be just one council member's decision. It should be board.
Yeah, it's not one council member's decision. It is the county council.
One person can't just go to him and say, get rid of this person, or it should be a majority.
That's what the statute contemplates. I mean, the way I look at it, any member of council can say anything they want to the administrator.
Mm-hmm,
The administrator works for the council.
mm-hmm.
To me, it doesn't make sense for one member to go and say, I want you gone, because that's what I would call an empty threat, because it takes the whole council.
Right.
Now, if the votes are there, I think one member could convey, hey, the votes are there. We want you to do something that you're not doing. We want you to stop doing something you are doing.
Mhm.
We want you to, do something with the employment matter with a specific department head or employee. And again, as you can tell I'm a lawyer because I'm about to give you my fourth disclaimer. This is what the state law allows, not what your mama would tell you to do.
The other question, does the administrator have the privilege to, if an individual come to him and make a recommendation about getting rid of, to say to that person, say, well, I understand what you want done, but I would like to have the opinion of the full board?
Yeah, I think that's appropriate.
And he not be jeopardized, penalized for.
Well, I mean, according to state law, he serves at the pleasure of the county council.
Mhm.
Now, I say state law there because a lot of administrators have contracts.
Mhm.
I don't know anything about that. I don't want to get into that. A lot of counties have local rules to govern this stuff. I don't know your local rules. I'm not your attorney, so I don't want to get into that. But the administrator works for the whole council, so I
Right.
think
Not one individual.
not one individual. Now, as y'all know, just as I saw some motions pass and fail, just in the little bit I watched this meeting, the majority rules, right? So it doesn't have to be unanimous,
Right.
but the council is who the administrator works for.
Right.
What about, when it comes to vendors, county attorney, newspapers? Is that a majority of council too, or is that a county administrator's decision?
It depends. Well, I'm gonna take those one at a time in reverse order. I'm gonna go with the vendors first. So that would depend on your local rules and your procurement policies. I would look at, depending on the dollar amount and kind of the minutia of each individual contract, I would look at that as day-to-day operations, and that would be under the administrator's purview. But many counties have, floors where if it's above a certain amount, the council has to approve. It's a certain type of contract, certain length of contract, the council has approved, and I don't want to get into that. But in my mind, and the statute's not overly specific on this, but in my mind, it just kind of general, we're going to entertain a vendor for a small purpose, that would be in kind of the day-to-day operations. Now, funding would have to come through county council, things like the procurement policy would need to be followed and things like that. The county attorney is a little bit different. When you read the statute, especially for the administrator form, it contemplates that the only two employees that work for the county council are the clerk to council and the county administrator. That being said, the last time we surveyed this, about 75 to 80% of the counties in the county administrator form, the county council hired the county attorney. There's reasons both ways, in my opinion. Obviously, the statute contemplates everybody other than the clerk to council and the county administrator themselves working for the county administrator. But a lot of the county attorney's role is to advise council, sit in the council meetings, do things like that. So a lot of times the council wants their own county attorney and they will hire their own attorney. I've also seen, and this was not all these examples I've given you, except the one with the economic development director within the last year, a county where the administrator hired the county attorney, and it got to a point where the county attorney was almost acting like the administrator's personal attorney, and doing things like that weren't necessarily for the benefit of the whole council.
Right.
I'm obviously not saying anything like that's going on here, but there's just two examples of how it kind of works both ways. But I would say the vast majority of county administrative forms of government, the council hires the attorney, even though the statute doesn't really contemplate that arrangement.
Right. And it would be according to our procurement policy on whether or not we do that.
Yeah, I think you could just do it. I mean, I think you could put it on the agenda and say, go in executive session, consider the person, come out and vote on it. They'd be hired by the council.
Okay.
And I don't see, there's not too many people that would have standing to choose. What's the harm in doing that, right? I mean, who's harmed by the council hiring the attorney instead of the administrator. So it's generally not, it goes unchallenged. It just is one of those things that just happens. You look for it in the code, it's not really there, but
Right.
you look around and it's very common.
Right. Would you agree that it probably be in the council's best interest, Fairfield County's best interest to bring in numerous attorneys and interview them and maybe pick the best one?
Well, it's y'all's job to do what's in the county's best interest. So I defer to y'all, but I think you're always going to find a more qualified candidate. And, you know, when you go shopping for a car, you don't just close your eyes and pick the one that closest to you. You look around and compare. So my personal opinion is it's always good to look at several candidates. But again, there's no law requiring that, but that's my personal opinion. But I do want to be clear. It's y'all's job to do what's best for Fairfield County. So.
Are there any more questions? Again, Mr. Rose, Mr. Taylor, I really want to thank you and Mr. Rose for the presentation. Really good job, and thank you. I thank you enlightened this council very much. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for having me. And should any of you ever need anything from the Association of Counties, please don't hesitate to call. Thank you very much.
Okay, next up, we have a discussion concerning the Public Works recycling schedule. This is something that Jonathan Burrows, our director in that department, had brought to council a little while back and had requested that we close on Sundays and Wednesdays, where we were open essentially every day. And a lot of that was based on the fact that we were getting outside people from the outside coming in to dump their garbage in our county from the surrounding counties, because they're not open all that much. They're open typically 50 hours a week, and we were open 70 plus hours a week. So we're looking to try to defer that from happening. We also needed time to manage the recycling itself. But we did get a lot of complaints. This is one of those things, you try things on a trial basis to see how it is accepted by the public. But we got a lot of complaints about Sunday, so we're bringing it back to you all and letting you know that we think we're going to open it back up on Sunday, but would like still to have it closed on Wednesday. And one of the reasons we're looking to try to stay closed on Wednesdays, again, is because of our ability, if we have that day down, to manage the recycling. Right now, we're having other people come pick it up. And just some quick numbers, like for the metal, last year, we got $24,000 for the entire year. In the 1 month that we've been closed and been able to do it ourselves, we got almost $7,000 in 1 month. So we're looking to more than triple the amount we have coming in on what we recapture in recycling the metals alone. So again, we would like to be closed on Wednesday. Also, we're noticing immediately with some of these actions, a savings on our yearly costs that we're sending over to Waste Management. We have to take what we collect and then dump it at Waste Management. They charge us. We immediately saw in 1 month a decrease of $13,000 because we were able to divert some or more to the recycling program. And some of that is also attributed to the fact that we put stickers on cars. We've asked people, and we tried to clamp down on some of these people coming from outside the county and dumping here in Fairfield County. So we've immediately seen a $13,000 savings in a month, and we're looking to be on track to more than triple what we get back in from recycling metals. Do we have, Mr. Burrows, do you want to add to that and answer any questions council may have?
Mr. Taylor, Mr. Chair, I'm just curious, is this something we're going to have to revisit as far as voting on it?
Yeah, this is one of those things. I think last time we were really trying to present it for information. I don't necessarily think it needed a vote last time. If you all feel comfortable in voting on it again, that's fine, but I don't think it necessarily needed a vote. I think this is a day-to-day.
It is definitely day-to-day, and just me personally, I'm willing to wait and see if everybody can get used to it. And secondly, according to parliamentary procedures, only on the prevailing side can bring it up, correct?
That's correct. If it actually doesn't.
No, it's not. No, it's not. One of the things we did ask was the parliamentary, and what I did, I brought Ms. Patty Davis to the parliamentary to make sure that if we decided we could vote on it, and you can vote on it.
You got that in writing?
I don't have to have it in writing, Mr. Robinson. And I know you trust Ms. Davis, right?
I trust Ms. Davis, but I'd like to see it also. I mean, she may read something different from what I read.
It's been passed. It don't need someone from the prevailing side.
Mr. Taylor, isn't that it's been like that always? Usually the prevailing side, usually the ones that have to bring it back for a vote.
think that is how we have done it in the past since I have been here. But again, this is one of those things, if you all feel it needs a vote, I can call and have an attorney check on this to see if we need to have since we voted on the first time, if we have to have a new vote. But if we don't have to have a vote, I can immediately just change it back and open back on Sundays if it would be okay with council.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion. We table it until we seek an opinion of a county attorney or an opinion of any attorney.
Yeah, I second it. I think, I think it was definitely a county administrator decision, but I think once it came up for a vote to make sure that we're doing it the right way, consult with an attorney and see if we need to vote on it again, or if you just go ahead and make the decision to open it back up.
Well, again, that's kind of the pleasure of council. If you all would like for me to wait and hold it until a vote is taken, or to find out whether we need to have a vote even, I can do that. But also if I found out from that attorney a vote wasn't necessary to begin with and it's not necessary the second time, I can just go back and go ahead and open on Sundays.
I agree with that.
I guess there's a motion on the floor to table.
Yes.
Okay, you got a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and second that we table this. All in favor, let it be known by aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Nay.
Nay. So it's not tabled. Okay, can we get a motion to approve going to Sunday?
Motion to approve on the Sunday, Mr. Chairman. Correct.
Okay, it's been moved that we go to Sunday. And keep Wednesday closed as it stands today. All in favor, let it be known by the word aye.
Aye.
Any opposers?
Nay.
Okay, we go to Sunday. Thank you.
And that is day to
I
day,
wanna-
correct?
I want to put on the record that I'm not opposed to Sunday. I was opposed to just making sure we were doing it the right way.
Same here.
Okay. Well,
Okay, that's Mr. Pauly and Mr. Gilbert. Want to make sure the record is noted to check, to verify it is correct in doing so. Again, one of the things we did is, I don't know how much we paid the parliamentarian, Mr. Taylor, do you know?
$1,800.
We paid her $1,800, and I stayed behind to make sure I asked that question specifically. And because I thought it might be this way, I called Ms. Davis, and I don't want to bring Ms. Davis in this, just get her trapped into this, but I asked the question in front of her, and we went through it by detail, and what she told us that you can just vote up or down. So that's why I'm going along with that. Thank you. All right. Next.
Next, we do have Mr. Brad Douglas, our Director of Emergency Management here, to discuss update council on COVID testing and vaccine. Mr. Douglas, if you'd come up and give us an update on that and kind of see where we are.
Right here.
Yes.
Thank y'all for having me today. I was in here probably, I'm guessing maybe a month and a half, 2 months ago. And what I was going to do is just kind of go through a quick, once ever, it includes a little bit of things as far as the vaccine plan and all that, but I'll kind of make it as brief as possible and take any questions that I can answer for you. First of all, just talking about COVID cases in Fairfield County in South Carolina, I've been kind of keeping an eye on them just so we can kind of gauge how we're doing compared to counties surrounding us over the last several months. Just for your records, I'll put my glasses on here. Cases that came out today, 1,593 cases reported and 5 in Fairfield County. Just to give you a little bit of a reference, everybody's aware of the spike that we had back after Christmas. That was kind of expected. It kind of went across the whole state. And that hit us about the week of January 13th. The week of January 6th, our state had 3,682 cases. That's a 7-day average. That's 3,682 cases per day. Fairfield County had nine per day. And we fared well with surrounding counties. The week after that's when the spike hit us. South Carolina went up to 4,121 cases per day over a 7-day period. And Fairfield County jumped dramatically up to over 18 cases per day. Since that time, we dramatically went down. We're back to where we were prior to the spike. So that's good news, I think. Even better news, over the last 2 weeks, I have monitored, again, all the counties that surround us. I always look every week. It's Richland, Newberry, Chester, Union, Kershaw, and Lancaster counties. Optimistically, they all, for the last 2 weeks, they have dropped, all of those cases dropped every week. And that's something that had not happened that I'd seen since I started watching this in November. So I think that's a good thing. And hopefully this week we'll see where they all drop again. I've heard we've had two cases of the African strain and one case of UK strain in South Carolina. What the DHEC is telling us is that these are more contagious, but the symptoms are pretty much believed to be no more severe, and the vaccines are believed to be just as effective against those as they are for the original strains that were coming in.
Mr. Douglas, please, let me apologize to you first, but I got a question.
Sure.
One of the things I guess I heard on the news today was about the UK strain, and as Dr. Vossi is believing that this might be the dominant strain, and it multiplies more rapidly than the other strains. Is that?
Yes, sir. And again, and first of all, as a disclaimer, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a medical person.
Yeah, I understand.
Pass on what I read.
Right.
You know, these other strains here, they do multiply quicker. However, they're still saying that they think that the vaccines work just as well. And of course, there's lots of other strains too that nobody talks about just because we haven't had to encounter them, thank goodness. But yes, sir, I think you are correct in that.
Okay.
Just a quick overview on the South Carolina vaccine plan. Of course, each state, and we were getting a lot of calls about this early on, you know, hey, I've got a brother-in-law in Texas and he went to the Walmart parking lot and got his vaccine. Why can't we do that? Each state is given as an allotment of vaccines, and each state is responsible for developing their own vaccine plan. DHEC was tasked with that job, and they have developed our plan. And just to go over our plan real quick, and I'm sure y'all probably heard this before, and that's why I'll kind of make it quick unless you have any questions on it. It was originally in three phases, phase 1, 2, and 3. That's kind of morphed to phase 1, which has subsets of phase 1A, 1B, 1C, and now just phase 2. That's the last one I've seen. Phase 1A obviously is the one that we're in right now. It's set to address your medical first responders, your folks who deal in hospitals, those who are on the frontline workers. You know, definitely the main focus was to take care of the folks in the hospital that look after us. And of course, the main focus of phase 1A was averting deaths. The population estimate of phase 1A in South Carolina is 1 million, about just a little under 1.3 million people. And just so you'll know, before they go to phase 1B, they're hoping to get 70% of that population in phase 1A. So that would put it roughly at about 900,000 vaccinations of the phase 1A folks. And just to give you an idea where we are now, we're at about 400, just under 450,000. So we're right about, according to this plan, about halfway through vaccinating the folks in phase 1A. Of course, in the past several weeks, they've added the 70 years and older to phase 1A. And then just, I'm sure all of y'all know today, they've added 65 and older. And so what that tends to do is you're adding more people to phase 1A. So you're kind of pushing back a little bit of when phase 1B will start, just because you're adding more to the numbers, and to reach that 70%, you're going to have more vaccinated. Phase 1B, right now, they're estimating that we should go into phase 1B in early spring. Of course, it's probably pushed a little bit back with these additions they made. They have not finalized the phase 1B criteria yet. Of course, they're saying it's going to be your frontline essential workers, your first responders who aren't covered in phase 1A, corrections teachers. That's who they're expecting, but there's been no finalization on that. And just one thing I missed in phase 1A, we have got a lot of our first responders in Fairfield County who fall into phase 1A. Most of those who do want the vaccine have received it by now. So I think that's good news for us of getting that done. So we're doing our part on that. Phase 1C, of course, phase 1B, they're hoping to start in early spring. Phase 1C is pretty much folks who don't meet 1A or 1B criteria, but possibly have some health care issues. And they're going to include those. But again, those are on down the line before they even write that criteria. And of course, they're hoping late spring. But again, nothing locked in on when these phases will progress. And of course, phase 2, they haven't given a timeline on that. That's all the other folks who don't fall into phase 1. I guess typically you're healthy individuals, who will fall into that. Just a quick overview on the vaccines, and I'm sure everybody's heard this, but I'll go real quick. Pfizer, that's the one that our first responders get, the hospitals are getting. The Moderna vaccine is the ones that are, the DHEC is not handling that. That's going directly, the federal government is working directly with CVS and Walgreens, and they're making sure that our long-term care facilities get the vaccines that they need. And all those are the Moderna ones. Of course, you've heard about Johnson & Johnson. The latest projection is, of course, they're seeking an EAU right now. The latest projections, they hope to be pushing their vaccines out in April. Of course, the Moderna and Pfizer are 2-dose vaccines. The Johnson & Johnson is going to be a 1-dose vaccine. To date, South Carolina has received 779,200 doses. They've administered 483,506. This is as of some stats I got on Friday. And of course, the total vaccines administered or scheduled to be administered are 882,958. We do expect to receive 16% more vaccines per week for the next 3 weeks. So that would bring us up from average of about 62,600 to 72,600. Larger weekly allocations are expected by March. And then, of course, by April, they're expecting to have a stronger influx because of, Moderna and Pfizer still producing, and then Johnson & Johnson starting to produce. And again, that's a projection if they get the UAE.
Mr. Douglas, I think Mr. Paul had a question.
I'm sorry.
That's fine. Do you see where there will be a increase in vaccination sites in Fairfield County?
Yeah, and that's the next point I was getting to. So that's actually a good lead into it. Right now, I don't know who's familiar with DHEC's vaccine site. If you go on there, they have links you can actually go to a map of the state, and it'll show up every vaccine site we have in the state. Fairfield is showing 4 vaccine sites. That's what that means. They've been approved as vaccinators. And of course, on the map, these vaccine sites are either red or they're green. If they're green, that means they have vaccines and they are accepting appointments. If they're red, that means either they don't have vaccine and or they're not taking appointments. Right now, the only one that's green, which means they are taking appointments, is our health department here. Fairfield Medical Associates and Lake Monticello Family Practice and Ridgeway Family Practice, the other 3, they're showing up red each time. So, we're hoping that they're going to get some vaccines. A couple weeks ago, they did have a vaccine site set up at Fairfield Medical Associates, but that was actually, it was done on site there, but it wasn't done by Fairfield Medical Associates, if that makes sense. It was just a one-day event that was put on by DHEC and then, of course, supported by the National Guard. The good news is that we've met with MUSC representatives lately out of Lancaster, and we met with White Oak Conference folks. Everybody knows White Oak Conference they're trying to sell, but they've given us permission to use their facility. MUSC is wanting to set up a 7-day-a-week vaccination site. Again, everything's contingent upon a number of things. Best case scenario, they were saying is early March, but I look for it to be later than that. Obviously they're running into issues with vaccine supply. DHEC has said they're not going to authorize any more vaccination sites until more vaccines become available, because all you're doing is spreading those vaccines out, making less available at the current vaccine sites. But to our knowledge, the one that's going to be at White Oak is again done by MUSC. MUSC has done them at Lancaster, Chester, and maybe Union County. They're working on them, but that's just that one. To my understanding, has been approved. It's just more or less that they have to. The gentleman that I spoke with that said obviously the vaccines are hard to get. They said right now it's even harder to get the manpower and the resources, to man those sites. That's the bigger issue, he said. So they're working on getting that filled. But when it does get up and running, it'll be 7 days a week, 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. And of course, these will be done by appointment. You have to do it through the DHEC vaccine site.
Have you heard anything like Fairfield County didn't have enough refrigerators or anything like that to keep the vaccinations?
Well, lots of doctor's offices do have them. Very few people had the, you hear about the ultra cold storage, didn't have that ability. You're only going to find that in your bigger hospitals in your bigger counties.
Okay.
Of course, we didn't have a hospital here, so that kind of, most counties, they would just have their hospital set as their vaccinator.
Right.
We weren't able to do that. We're trying a number of different avenues. And of course, we're wanting to get our phase 1A first responders vaccinated as soon as possible. And so DHEC did create a mechanism for us to get them submitted through the CDC. They were able to go to places. I think most of them went to Lexington Medical Center and got their vaccine. So we have, even though we didn't get a site set up here like we hoped to do, we did get that done. Now, to answer your question on the refrigeration, usually what happens, you don't have to have that ultra cold storage capability. You just have to have a way to freeze it for like 5 days, because generally you get those vaccines in 5 days, they're going to be gone. So the problem we ran into, and lots of other counties, especially in our situation, are running into, is you have to have a certain type of thermometer in your refrigeration system, and we just didn't have that type of thermometer. Well, it's on back order with EMS, because we were eventually going to get EMS to be our vaccinator, and of course, everybody's waiting on these thermometers, but these other doctors' offices have them. So we worked with the Fairfield Medical Associates to get them made a co-vaccinator for county employees. Of course, we're still waiting on, them to get the vaccines. Yes, sir.
Any legal ramifications or possible ramifications if may occur that you know of?
Regarding
inoculations of us distributing the shot?
No, sir. That has not been discussed. That hasn't been brought to my attention, and nobody even raised that, but I'll certainly raise that.
Okay.
See if anybody else in emergency management around the state has had any issues with that. Yes, sir.
Are some of these sites are taking appointments and not have the vaccine?
Are you asking me that? Or are you saying you've heard
But
that?
I'm saying, yeah. Well, I'm making a statement.
Oh, okay.
That I know for a fact one of the sites is making appointments, and you're telling me that they're a red site, and they're scheduling people to come in and they don't have the vaccine.
Okay, I haven't heard that. I have heard that some of the sites that are red have been given vaccinations to folks. I think Jenkinsville, Lake Monticello, Health, they've been given them. I'm just saying on the site it's red.
Mhm.
I don't know whether they're getting such a small amount. They're just catering pretty much to their patients there who meet that criteria. I don't know. But as far as scheduling them showing up, that's the first I've heard that.
What is the allocation? Do you know what the allocation as far as vaccines are to Fairfield County? I heard you mention the state number overall.
No, sir. They have not mentioned anything as far as what's going to each county. It's just what's coming into the state. And then it's pretty much, I think they're looking at, the populations, obviously, and then the capabilities to do it.
But just because you live in Fairfield County doesn't mean you can't go to Newberry or you can go wherever to
That's
get
exactly right. Thank you. You can go to the Chester Health Department. You can go anywhere and get them. They say that I was talking with the gentleman with MUSC, and he said when they first opened up their vaccination site in Lancaster, they'd have people from Charleston, to do it. The only thing that I've heard you're not supposed to be, people do it, they say, but you're not supposed to do is come out of state. They want to, because it's easier. It's hard to keep up with who's had it if they're going from different states. But that's pretty much on the vaccine side. We're working hard, trying to get that, and we're going to do whatever we can to help MUSC to get set up as soon as possible. They were very excited about getting it started here, and they said they already had the funding. So, and they're going to ask for support, and we'll ask for support for them from the National Guard for that. The last thing I was wanting to talk to you about is just a transportation plan. We had met about helping those folks who fall in 1A, particularly 65 or plus, who don't have transportation. We want to make sure, try to figure out a way to make, we don't want, because they can't get there, we don't want, that's not fair for them not to have an opportunity to get those vaccines. So we're I met with Miss White with Transit, and we've trying to get a plan. It's kind of hard because it's harder to get the vaccine appointments now. Just a little side note, as far as the health department here, the only one in Fairfield County giving them, I talked with DHEC Friday when I was getting with Ms. White about the, getting a transportation plan, and they are booked up through the end of March now. Because what they're doing is when they, there's I think it's a 21-day wait period on Pfizer, I believe it is. So whenever they fill up, let's say they have them this Tuesday. When they fill them up this Tuesday, 3 weeks from now, all those spots are gone because those same people are scheduled for that day. So, it's kind of like you can only do half the amount almost. So, so having said that, we talked with DHEC, and they said, well, they can go to Chester County. Chester does them on, I think, Tuesdays and Wednesdays, I think. And, but they're all booked up. And we've tried to, Ms. White and I tried to come up with some method of, where they're giving them, where they have them more abundantly. Let's set that up and try to help folks get there. We have no idea how many folks we're looking at. It could be a handful, it could be a bunch. We're not sure of those folks that may not have transportation. So what we have decided on now, until we can get a site here, and it'll be great once White Oak's up and running, because we can, it's a pretty easy shuttle service from here to White Oak. But what we decided, until we get that going, at least to make an attempt, an honest effort to make sure folks that may not have transportation get these vaccines, is we're going to come up with something and distribute through social media, our local paper, whatever we can, is that on Tuesdays, if they can make their appointments at Lexington Medical Center, because that's probably they have the most prevalent, vaccines and appointments, set those appointments up on Tuesdays. Lexington Medical Center, if they can, when they get on DHEC site, and either through the phone line or either through the internet, when they set up a vaccine, set them up for Tuesdays, and we're going to work hard to make sure everybody gets down there. They may have to wait a little bit, but we're going to, do our best to make sure that those folks have an opportunity to get those vaccines too. And I think that concludes what I was going to.
Okay. Just a question, and Mr. Taylor probably can. Do we have because when we went to I think you say you started Monday 6 to 5, right? Your day 6 to 5.
Age 65. Yes, sir. That's correct.
Okay. Do we have that on the website so people can just share it and just put it on the on their Facebook page and everything?
I don't think we do. Let me check. I know you all are doing things on Facebook. We put a lot of things on Facebook. Let me check. And if not, we'll have it up there.
Okay. Because, we put the one for 7 and a lot of people took advantage of that. So,
Right.
And so we want to make sure we put that on the 6 to 5 because people are calling and they're getting vaccines. So that's a good thing.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Mr. Douglas, when we take a look at the vaccines that are available, and I know that, storage would be an issue, is there any way to use visiting nurses for some of those people who are pretty much at home, having home care or that kind of stuff, or are disabled and not necessarily, easily transported places for them to get? They're not in nursing homes, but they would be that age or that caliber. Is there any way to do visiting nurses? I know the storage may be an issue, but I just wanted to explore.
I can tell you, again, as a disclaimer, DHEC is developing the plans. They kind of determine how it's going. But I will say this, that is a conversation now, getting folks who are non-ambulatory or, homebound. That is a priority topic right now, is, how they can get those vaccinations to them. So that is being discussed now. They have not come up with they haven't finalized any type of plan for that, but that is a topic right now.
That's all I have. I mean, council have anything else? Okay,
No,
we'll
sir.
move on to the next item. Thank you, Mr. Douglas. I appreciate that. Next up, we did have a request to have an update on our census data, and we expected to have that by tonight, but in calling them, they won't have that information. They won't release it until tomorrow. So when we get that, we'll just go ahead and forward that to council members through email, if that would be okay. The final item I have tonight is the pharmacy light packaging. We're having their grand opening. The chamber has put that together, and we'll do something very akin to what was done at the CPRO grand opening. We will have barbecue, and the chamber will be there, and we will do a grand opening to welcome CPRO, or to welcome Pharmacy Light. They're the company that is in what had been the old Walmart building. And that's all I had for tonight.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Taylor. Now we're down to clerk to council report. Says none. Okay, down to county council time. Mr. Gilbert.
I would like to make a recommendation to the rest of the council that we revisit Mr. Taylor's contract. I suggest that Mr. Taylor's contract be reversed to a minimum of 1 year to a maximum of 2 years due to the fact that this council cannot impede on the future council's decision. The prospect of a 5-month extension was not discussed with the full council. Mr. Robinson, Mr. Pauly, and I were totally unaware of the idea before this motion was made. Anything that will affect the welfare of this county in such a great way should be discussed with the full council, not just among 4 members. Did you give him a review before you made the decision to give him this 5-month extension? How is he supposed to know what area he needs to improve on? Mr. Robinson, Mr. Pauly, and I were not informed of such a review was taken with this new board. Mr. Taylor, I would like to say to you that you are a visionary, a professional, a great listener, an extremely easy person to work with. I hope that you know the feelings of a few is not the consensus of many of the citizens of Fairfield County. I have received nonstop phone calls and emails from citizens with concern and support for you. You have been a blessing to Fairfield County. I cannot understand how or why somebody would want to give you a 5-month extension and pretend that the only motivation is so that they can get a chance to further evaluate you. I have not encountered a single person who believes that that is true. I hate the thought that there may be another reason so wrong that those who believe it is are afraid to say it publicly, but I believe that to be the case. One other issue I would like to address. How can a freshman member of council can chair all our committees without any training or experience with council business? Think about it. A freshman member over members with 2 years or more experience with council in every single case. Amazing. Now, our county attorney has been forced out, and we have a ton of legal issues that he and Mr. Taylor were working on for our county. What are we going to do now? I guess the Fab Four will hound this. That's not good. Finally, this county consists of 7 districts that are to be represented by council. I would like to see that all discussions that may affect this county, that all 7 representatives be involved, not just 4. A couple of you may not have gotten your way on everything in the past, but nothing was ever hidden from you before it was voted on. The same respect should be recognized now. You may not like our take on some issues, but all Fairfield County citizens must be represented in decision this council made. Remember, the shoe one day will be on the other foot.
Anybody else?
I got just one thing, Mr. Chairman. I agree with you, Mr. Clarence. Sometimes the shoe do get on the other foot. That's all I got.
I have a statement. Anybody else? No one else? Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Robinson.
I'll just say to council, coming in tonight was a first for me, seeing, I'm not sure if you call it a picket or just a show of love for the administrator. That's definitely been a first for me. I'm not sure of the other council members, but I know I've received I think I received more phone calls and emails and door knocks the past 3 weeks that I've did in the last 4 years I've been on council, and everyone's worried. So the question is, should our administrator be worried? A 5-month contract does say pack your stuff and get ready, and I'll just leave it at that.
Okay, anybody else? So I have a statement. So let me tell you a story. True with current correlations. The presidential election was held on November 3rd, 2020. And by the 7th of November, 2020, the election was called for Joseph R. Biden as president of our 46th president. After a few weeks in many court cases, even to the Supreme Court, everyone knew that Mr. Biden had won the election. But instead of accepting the election as it was, the former president decided that he would spread falsehoods and try to stir up his base with lies and rumors. He knew he had lost. More importantly, those around him knew too he had lost. Yet Mr. Trump was able to stir up people with his lies and rumors because those who knew the truth failed to speak the truth and supported the lies even though they knew the truth. This failure allowed the president to incite an insurrection on the capital of the United States of America, causing 6 people to be killed, to include police officer and over 140 injured Capitol Police. Why would I bring this up in council time? Look around and see what folks are doing. The sad piece, we too have them in the ranks when they know better, but it fits their agenda, and politically they think it plays to their base and or to those persons who they want to accept them. Now look at the person with their vicious writings, who have literally tried to destroy and to discredit all leaders who have the interests of their communities for whom they cannot control. Just see the tactics to incite. Let's go further. Dig deeper. A person posted on their Facebook page the prejudice of the new county council. Yet this is what they wrote prior to making that statement. Look what the Black volunteers did with Fairfield High School. Restored it to its old glory days with no tax dollars. Great job to this group of volunteers. He further writes, look what a group of whites did to fight City Hall to save Mount Zion. Now it will be our county headquarters. Thanks to them for their hard work to save a part of our history. He decided to gloat. Blacks, according to him, paid their own money, but white got the tax dollars for their history. So then, is it about the administration building or about this person's history? Later, that same person wrote, if you want to help keep Jason Taylor as our manager, please join the team effort and let's get rotten fish out of council chambers and do what is best for our county. He knew what the connotation meant, so let me explain. When the Africans came to America, they were packed in the bottom of ships like sardines, their manhood robbed, and then their lives. When they died in the bottom of that ship, they laid among others in the stench. And when the captain of the ship couldn't stand the order no longer, he said, get rid of those rotten fish. The person who thinks this way, with the audacity to write it so others could see it, this is the same person many of you have chosen as your leader, to carry your banners, to follow. How sad. We have gotten hate mail, bully mailing, called the swamp, racist, scandalized on social media, making statements like we gonna get y'all. Having my family to worry about me when I come to this meeting tonight, and much more. For the very people who have called us this condition is called psychological projection. Research on social projection supports the existence of false consensus effect whereby humans have a broad tendency to believe that others are similar to themselves and thus project their personal traits onto others. Whenever a narcissistic person feels threatened, They will call you the things that they themselves are afraid that others see them as. And then they will try to stalk you, slander you, or discredit you. They will try to sabotage and destroy you. They will start a smear campaign and attempt character assassination. In their mind, frighteningly, you have become their mortal enemy. They also have no problem doing all of it preemptively and calling it defense, pretending, trying to insinuate we are that, but they themselves are the culprits. Now imagine how the folks felt in the dome of democracy, our nation's capital, at the insurrection on January 6, 2021. It happened because lies, rumors, and an incitement in chief. Citizens of Fairfield, let's don't go there. Let me tell you something else. We made a simple inquiry of why the county is spending all the money for advertisement with the Voice newspaper and none with the Chronicle and the Post of Fairfield Central. And trying to answer that question, I was given an opinion from the attorney. On the last page of that document, it noted their opinion due in part to the procurement manual being amended on August 1, 2019. So I asked for the minutes. Since I couldn't remember the procurement manual coming before council, in their search, there was no minute because there was no amended procurement manual. The attorney apologized for the mistake. People make mistakes, but it appears to me that the opinion he concluded was based on a mistake. May not have been, but could have been. Are there attacks on us from the Voice because of the inquiry? However, please know, we will work through the administration to determine fairness and equity for all concerning this matter. Let me tell you something else. I will not give up my values, my integrity, nor my manhood to be liked, praised, or accepted by people who cares nothing for me, nor my communities or their values, as was evident by all during my previous 2 years on council. I believe we have the wisdom, knowledge, strength, and courage to move this kind of forward inclusively, all receiving some benefits. We want your help, but will not accept disrespect in the process. There was a saying in the civil rights movement that I hold true today. I too am a man. I thank you and look forward to all of us working together to improve the quality of life for all of our citizens. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we stand in adjournment. Are you ready to vote? All in favor, let it be known by word aye.